All right, so today I am joined by yet another Auto Remarketing Canada Under 40 Award winner. So congratulations to you, Stephane Lubin.
Hey everyone.
So to get started, Stephane, do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey to the level that you're at now with Kia Canada on the OEM side through CPO and remarketing? Like what was your journey through automotive? I know over the last 15 years.
Wow. I think you're dating me there.
You got a great award. You made it under 40, so.
Yeah. I just made it. A few days before. Well, first off, I want to say thanks, Logan, for having me on. I think this is a good initiative that you're doing, and it's good to share my story. So I'll start with back in 2003. I joined Adesa Toronto as just like a lot person, and back then I was actually just washing cars on a weekly basis until there was an opportunity to move into to the office role, and that's when I really had an opportunity to see the whole auction operation, from receiving to the recon work to parking the cars, to getting the vehicles online. And that's kind of where I really had the chance to make my name for myself. Back in 2003 and 2004, the auctions were just in transitioning to more of an online marketplace as opposed to just physical. And so Adesa Canada, or chose Adesa Toronto as the main auction focus to get the vehicles
to bring simulcast to their dealers.
Absolutely.
Right.
So that was great. I had the opportunity to travel to different auction groups across Canada and the U.S., and we built kind of the best practices to get the cars from physical to online. And as you can see today, online is a lot more prevalent than it ever has been, and it's only going to grow. So that was really phenomenal. I worked as an operations manager my last 2 years, so I did have the opportunity to go back outside and really work with the field reps on how the cars are really touched and how efficient we can make the practices of the auctions. So that was great. After I left Adesa, I did take on an outside sales role with a company called Wholesale Car Connection.
Right.
And if any outside sales manager will tell you that that's where you really learn about yourself. It was really challenging with a brand new company in the marketplace, and being a relative unknown in the wholesale environment. I had the opportunity to travel all the way to Windsor, to far east of Ottawa, and I had a great time meeting with a lot of dealers and pushing my opportunity for them to utilize this tool. So from Wholesale Car Connection, I moved on to Kijiji Auto, where I was the inside sales manager for 3 years that I was there. And I had the chance to meet with Will Harris at that point as well. I interviewed him and brought him along as an account manager at the time, and we've seen how he's been successful.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great to be a part of that journey, and we still keep in touch today. He's a great colleague of mine. In my last year at Kijiji, I did go back out on the road. I think at that point in my career, I really felt like I needed to be, kind of a confidant or someone that the dealers could relate to on a personal level. I had really great successes meeting with dealers and meeting with the dealer groups, and I think that face-to-face connection really can't. That's not something that can be replaced. It really gives the dealers a sense of how this, and so I found a lot of value in that. From Kijiji, I moved on to Carfax, which I did that from 2014 into 2016. And from 2016, I landed the role with Kia Canada, the National Remarketing and CPO Manager. And, it's right in line with what I've been doing in my career as far as remarketing at the auction, a little bit of retail with Kijiji, and obviously some outside sales with meeting with my dealer groups now. So I think my career's kind of come full circle, and I'm very happy with how things are going right now.
Excellent. Such a good story. So when you decided to shift from the vendor side to the OEM level, like what was that process, that application process like? So did you know someone? Was it a very traditional style of an application? Like how did you land such an amazing, I mean, you have a great work experience, obviously directly related to remarketing and, like you said, the retail side of things. But how did that transition happen, and how did you find yourself with the opportunity?
Yeah, it's kind of serendipitous. It just so happened that Kia was in the market for a remarketing manager. So it was a perfect fit. I was looking to join my first OEM. So what had happened was I did know a colleague of mine, not through the automotive space, but my wife's girlfriend, her brother actually worked at Kia. And, just through conversation, I submitted my resume, and I initially applied for a district sales manager role.
Right.
And through the interview process, they realized that while I had the skills to be a district sales manager, they had a better fit for me as a manager in this national remarketing role that they needed help with. And so I was very fortunate enough. I think I had 3 or 4 interviews, met with a few integral people here at Kia, and we hit it off. And I think they were impressed with my level of understanding of the process. And from there, it's been going on strong. And my key card still works, so I think I'm still welcome to it. So it was good.
That's so good. That's so good. So given your role, why do you think that CPO is so important now, or for dealers, or how you started there in 2016? So how have things evolved since you began there, and where do you think that they're going? What do you think? Why do you think that CPO is so important to dealers and OEMs today?
Yeah, so part of the message that I share with our dealer body is that CPO provides like a full circle experience for the consumer, the brand, and the dealers. In the industry, there's a bigger focus now on lease return. So what CPO does is provides a mechanism for dealers to absorb the large number of vehicles that are coming back from lease or off lease, and get them into the marketplace and make it a product that's attractable to the consumers. There's always going to be used cars, but to have a certified pre-owned vehicle, that's a little bit of a step up, and it's the next best thing to do. So for the consumer, they get the best quality product that they can purchase next to new. For an OEM, it's important that our dealers are buying these vehicles back at full residual price point, so that we can maintain our prices in the used car marketplace, so that our value continues to grow. And for the dealer, they have a new profit center.
Right.
They can use a wealth of the customers that were lease customers, convert them into CPO, and ideally convert those customers into new. So they now have a new pool of customers that they can rely on. And the statistics that we have, although in the Canadian marketplace it's not as prevalent as it is in the U.S., we know that CPO vehicles sell for a little bit more than a regular used cars, based on what is added to that vehicle as far as warranty, interest rates, and those kinds of programs. So again, it's a three-step pillar that all facets of the business will benefit from, and you're starting to see more OEMs pay a lot more attention to it because of our large lease volumes.
Yeah, that's great. And how important is reconditioning when it comes to creating more profitability for these vehicles?
It's extremely important, right? Because one thing, when you're selling CPO, it's a brand play, right? It's substantial for the brand, because consumers, not only do they see the dealer, but they're seeing the Kia logo on all these cars, right? And so our programs are designed so that we stand behind the product. We expect our dealers to reach a certain level of reconditioning on all these cars. And so consumers can, have that new car experience without the new car price point.
Yeah.
And so the reconditioning process, and that's why you'll see with every program, there's a minimum as an inspection point. It varies from OEM, but we all do a good job of making sure that's the focal point, and that unless those steps are taken, the dealer won't qualify for the incentive on CPO, and consumers won't be able to receive the interest rates on CPO as well.
And I know that there can be like a discourse between OEM and dealership owner sometimes.
Only sometimes.
Yeah, it is business. So, like, just from my experience on the road, visiting dealers and talking to them on their website, stuff like that, sometimes you see a real lack of CPO implementation. Some brands are a little bit different than others, but why is there the lack of initiative maybe or interest in jumping on that bandwagon? Is it just knowledge? Is it because it is so new?
Yeah, very good question, number one. And that's what I live day in and day out. How do you convince the dealer that,
this is going to help them?
Right. Historically, they haven't been a supporter. Why would they now jump on when you're asking them to either pay a fee to certify a car? So I think knowledge and training is number one. It's paramount. As OEMs, we endeavor to every day provide better training tools and more information. I think that's what's critical for the dealer. At the end of the day, they're in a profit business, and we know that margins are getting skinnier. So if they look at a program where it's a cost to them, they may shy away. But when we look at all the numbers over the years, and even since I've been here, we're seeing profitability from our CPO store. And the early adopters and the dealers that do adopt it, they're seeing that they're making higher gross on the car because now they don't actually have to discount it, right? Like there's less information with the consumer on discounting because they have a better quality product. They're able to actually add on warranty items that will benefit the consumer, so that adds to the gross profit. And additionally, consumers are showing interest. And I think that's the third driver. The more we're able to get CPO as a widely known commodity in the business, consumers will then start to
seek it out.
They'll demand it, and dealers will respond to it. So, dealers just, the early adopters are doing very well, and I think we're starting to see a momentum shift where more dealers are becoming more comfortable with the concept. And I think as an industry, we just need to continue to feed that, and it'll get stronger.
Cool. Yeah, that's great. Now, coming from the remarketing side and the Wholesale Car Connection, that dealer-to-dealer network, was a big part of your history as well as the auction side. So within Kia Canada, is there an exchange network between dealers? Like, how does that work? So I get a whole bunch of Kia Souls back. I really don't have space for them, whatever it is, but a dealer that's X amount away needs them.
Yeah, so, without giving away the secret sauce, so the kind of the dealer network would be what we call a closed environment, where, when the vehicle is grounded, at that point, if the dealer decides to decline the vehicle and the lessee no longer wants the car, then it becomes my responsibility, and then I take that car and I spread the message out to as many Kia dealers as possible that the cars are available, give the price point, and then ideally OEMs thrive to keep the vehicles within their network, so that we can obviously maintain most visibility on our own cars. And so that's how we do it here at Kia. We make sure that all the Kia dealers have an opportunity to buy those cars. And should they not sell in that closed environment, I have a few dealers that I can lean on, and this is where my sales hat kind of comes in, where I'll make a few calls and call a couple of dealers that I can rely on to take those cars in.
Yeah.
And we go back and forth, and it's very much a really strong relationship that you build, so that they can rely on you to provide them with the most competitive pricing, and you can rely on them to absorb cars where maybe you need assistance on.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the classic dealer-wholesaler relationship, right?
I'm a big wholesaler, basically.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah.
I love it. That's great.
Yeah.
So what is it that you think differentiates Kia from other OEMs? And I know obviously it's the only OEM you've ever worked for, but is there anything that you feel they do really well when it comes to the culture within the organization and what you enjoy about working there?
Yeah, again, another great question. So with Kia being my only OEM, I can speak to what you do and what I perceive as value. From the top down, with, senior managers to our president, there's a focus on communication and collaboration. I think within any organization, everybody should be on the same page at any given time. So Kia does a really good job of that. We have our weekly meetings. All managers at all levels are very in tune to what's going on. And because we're a little bit of a younger OEM, we're very agile. So that's one thing I think provides Kia with an advantage. When there's decisions that need to be made, whether it's regionally, locally, or nationally, we can make that call fairly quickly and act upon it and take advantage of any opportunity. Mm-hmm. Thirdly, I would say we're very, very determined. The Korean culture suggests that you work very, very hard, but you work very smart and efficient. So we're always looking for efficiency. And I think that's something that they saw in me and what I projected in my interview as far as how we can help streamline the process on remarketing. And it's a practice that we adopt every single day. And it's a focus. How do we make ourselves more efficient? How do we sell our cars faster, with less input, but maintaining the quality of these vehicles and the fun factor and the overall experience that we want to provide our consumers. So Kia, I think, is on a high trajectory. I think in the marketplace, we're starting to get the recognition. You're starting to see Kia earn some awards ahead of other very established brands. So I think I came in at the right time, and I was very fortunate, and it's been a pretty cool ride, and I'm happy to be here for sure.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned that it is like a young and agile brand, because based on your resume, that's really what your experience is in. It's in bringing a new product to an old way of doing business, bricks and mortar auction, right? And then going into this Wholesale Car Connection, which was a young company, brand new, doing that whole thing, educating the market, and then going into Kijiji Canada was next.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Good memory.
So I think that it's really interesting that you've been able to, it's almost like it's your specialty, right? Starting from one point and building up an organization to a point. I think it's just interesting how your career has developed that pattern. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a very unique skill to have. So I think they did a good job finding you.
Yeah, just make sure my boss hears that.
Totally, yeah. Send them this interview.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so if there was one piece of advice that you could give to dealers or vendors or other people in business development or sales, what would it be?
We touched on this a little bit earlier. I think the one thing that can't be overlooked is dreaming big and having, setting your goals you have to set your goals high, right? You have to reach for the stars. And I know it's a little bit vague, but I remember back when we were at Kijiji and, back in 2010, 2011, when we were just formulating the sales team and we're a younger group and we're, really hungry. But, we started to think about the future and what Kijiji could look like. And I think that's what really set the table for the success that they have now. And so I would say to any dealer, vendor, or whatever, just, establish a goal, reach for the goal. Don't think about what the team looks like now or 5 years, but 10 years from now. right? And then what are the steps, the day-to-day things that you have to do to get there? When I was at Adesa and Kijiji, I always wanted to work at an OEM. I never knew which OEM, but being in the industry, I always met these guys who still work at the OEM, and they impressed upon me that, they were doing very well for themselves, they were very knowledgeable, and they had access to all facets of the business, and that's what really drove me there. So in the back of my mind, I always wanted to be at that level, and so that's what I always strive to get to. And through the steps that I've taken, I think I've been able to do that. And I would just say to anybody, just set your goals. Well, maybe it's not a today thing, but set a goal and just continue to do what you have to do daily to get there.
I think it's so impressive that you knew so early on in your career in automotive that you wanted to be at the OEM level. I think that it's one of the things that is challenging in life is like to know concretely where you want to end up. And for you to have that insight only fueled and created momentum for you to get there, right? But it's that clarity that was able to support you through and offer you these opportunities to continue saying yes when, someone was willing to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Cool.
And when you plan and you do all that, you surround yourself with people who help support that. And I think that's something that I probably should have mentioned earlier, but in all the places I've worked, I've always had a strong supporting cast, and I think you have to be a good team player, you have to be a team member, because at the end of the day, automotive is a small business. The people that you meet, you will be in this business for a long time. And so it's good to always, make sure that you always put your best foot forward, and that you're respectful to everyone, and that you treat your peers as you would like to be treated. And it's been a fun ride, so I'm happy.
Yeah, congratulations. I think it's a great story and very well deserved. So yeah, it's been a pleasure. Last question. What if there was something that you are passionate about outside of automotive? What would it be? And yeah, let's see.
Okay, outside of automotive, so I was a pretty big sports fanatic. I had an opportunity to play collegiate sports. I played football for a long time.
At St. Mary's, you were in the East Coast.
That's right. I was on the championship Banyan Cup team, the back-to-back team.
Crazy.
Yeah, that was a great experience, and through my early adult life, I still play football, so that's a big thing in my life. I'm a family man now, married with kids. I've got my twin boys and my daughter, so my path, spend a lot of time with them. We encourage them quite a bit, and just want to provide the best environment for them. I would say next to my family would be just recently real estate. I found that it's pretty cool learning how realtors are able to scoop up property, flip them, make a profit, and that's their process. It's such another world, but it's very exciting, and I want to explore that a lot more with the time that I have. And I would say that's my next passion. I spend Sunday evenings just driving around some neighborhoods I've never seen before, just to look at how cool the houses are and there's opportunity. So yeah.
That's awesome. So something that you probably didn't know about me, both my parents are realtors, and I sold real estate for 3.5 years before I got into auto.
Come on. So you left real estate to join auto?
Yeah.
How was that? Tell me more. Now it's on you. Tell me about it. Tell me all about it.
So I grew up with both my parents. They owned a franchise, real estate franchise, and then in the early 2000s, they sold it to a Century 21 franchise, merged companies. I graduated from university with a business degree, got my real estate license that summer, and started selling. And it was a great experience. I had this opportunity come up in automotive, which was very similar to the car connection the Wholesale Car Connection, and it was called Select Bidder. And it was essentially, we were selling to independent auctions across the U.S. And what it was we were selling it to them as a sales tool, so their sales team could go to dealerships who are loyal to another competitor and say, I understand you're loyal to Adesa in your market. We're an independent that has a different buying network. Before you send the vehicle to that physical auction, we'd like to have the opportunity to sell the car to our buyers. So we get that you already have that relationship, but we've built this online platform where we know what everyone buys, and we can just filter them based on their buying preferences, specific units. So this opportunity came up. I had never thought about automotive, startup life, nothing. But I've been selling real estate for 3.5 years, and having parents that sold their whole lives, it's always evenings and weekends. It's never a steady paycheck. It's a challenge, right? So I knew that. I wasn't naive to that fact. So I figured if I have an opportunity to try automotive and technology, if I don't like it, I can always go back to real estate. If I do like it, then what's there to lose, right? I was 23 at the time, 24 at the time. So, so I went from real estate to auto.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we're opposite. I'm trying to get to where you were.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to talk about it, I'm your girl.
Oh man, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Cool.
That's fantastic. So one last question before I go.
Sure.
I'm not sure if anyone has asked this, but what spurred you to interview the under 40, and what do you expect to get out of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been asked offline, like when we're kind of like having chit chat, but never on video. So I really felt that at the conference at Auto Remarketing Canada this year, being part of such a remarkable group of people, and I didn't have the opportunity, like it's such a quick conference and it's so full of great content. I didn't feel like I had the opportunity to really meet and like learn about the other amazing people that were part of our group. And I just thought, you all have so much information and experience to share with the rest of the industry within Canada. So why not try to get together and do a video interview so that I personally can learn more about you and build connections with people, and that everyone else in my network can also benefit, and hopefully give you a platform to share a little bit about your story. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great concept, and it's cool to hear some of the stories that are being shared, and I think you might turn this thing into an annual thing. It might be cool to do that.
Yeah, I think so. And like you said, like the industry is so small, so it's so funny, like having Will on last week, and then, after we were kind of having like an offline chat, and he's like, so who's next? And I was like, Stefan, and he was like, oh my God, he's like, I wish I had known, because I would have said in the interview, like told the story, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a great industry, and I think too, like it's just about raising awareness, like for my friends and family, about how cool the industry is and how many amazing people there are in it. Yeah. So. Yeah,
it's great. Want to just again say thanks for having me on, and I think you're doing a great job. Keep it up, and I'm definitely going to be looking at all the rest of the videos.
Cool.
And keep it up.
So if anyone does want to get in touch with you, if they have questions about CPO or maybe Kia Canada, if they're looking at opportunities, how best can people reach you?
Yeah, just through email. So just Lubin@kia.ca. Mm-hmm. And I'd encourage anyone to reach out on LinkedIn. I'm trying to build my network as well. And so those are the best two places for sure.
Awesome. That's perfect. So sorry, go ahead.
How do we reach you?
Logan at Accu-Trade.ca. You can reach me on my cell phone, 874-7355, and definitely LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I think it's a super powerful tool, and it's amazing the opportunities, conversations, and connections that you can have with people on there when you're open to it. And like, I genuinely want to help anyone. So if anyone's interested in getting into the industry, learning more about it, I'm more than happy to have those conversations because I'm passionate about it. I think it's exciting and I love it.
Absolutely. It's always good to hear females talk about autos like that. It's empowering. It is.
Yeah, and I think that there's so much room for so many more women, and I know that for myself, like getting into automotive, I did have a fear associated, like, well, what do I know about cars, right? There's kind of that immediate, like, wow, who's going to take me seriously? Like, I know nothing about cars. But one thing that I tell the people when I talk to them about the business, obviously I know a lot more about cars now than I did, but in the same token, it's business, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I have a business degree. I came from a strong selling background with my parents being both realtors. I sold real estate. Like, these things all translate into, and plus the fact that automotive is such a massive industry, like finance, service, CPO, remarketing. Like, to think that you only, because you don't know anything about cars, it's just so limiting. But I think that it is a problem for women. Yeah, but more of us. Recruitment.
Yeah. So go on a recruiting trip for sure.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, well, thank you so much for spending time with me. I know we had some technical difficulties, but much appreciated. And we will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Logan. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.
Congratulations again on your award.
You too. Thanks.